This is from the Ellen DeGeneres show not too long ago, a few weeks ago. Don't worry, we'll jump into the scrum in just a moment. How dogs help turn a former addict's life around. Let's check it out. Go.
Your story is amazing. What you're doing is amazing. And I can't wait for more people to hear about this because it really does need to go everywhere. So you started out in a very dark place. Explain, if you can, in a brief amount of time, your history.
Well, my love affair with alcohol and drugs began at a very early age. For as long as I can remember, I could not live in my own skin, you know, and alcohol and drugs were the only thing that helped me feel like I could be alive in me. By the time I was 17, I was an everyday drinker. I got kicked out of college, started using heavy drugs, started selling heavy drugs, and just disappeared into a bottomless pit of negativity, self-hatred, and with no way out. And at 28 years old, in 2008, I started to turn yellow. I started to swell up in my belly, my ankles. I started to bleed from places you're not supposed to bleed. And I was diagnosed with end-stage liver disease. I was checked into Bakersfield Memorial Hospital, and they gave me 90 days to live without a liver transplant. I was gonna die in 90 days without a liver transplant.
And the turning point was?
There were quite a few turning points. The first big turning point was that my dad never gave up on me. And my dad helped me get into the Comprehensive Transplant Center. Thank you, Dad. I love you, Dad. And we got admitted to the Comprehensive Transplant Center. They sent me home, basically on hospice, to the care of my dad and my dogs, to wait 6 months and try to qualify for a liver transplant. And one day I was in bed with all of my dogs, and I had, soiled the bed, which happened regularly at the time. And I had to undress, which was very painful at the time. And I walked into the bathroom, and as I passed the mirror, I was shocked at what I was confronted with. I didn't recognize what I was looking at. This scared, yellow person. I remember making contact with my eyes and not recognizing what I saw, like not understanding who was looking back at me. And I could feel my dogs behind me. And I look back at them, and all three of them, Marley, Tug, and Buddy, are looking up at me like I am just Matthew McConaughey mixed with Barack Obama. There's nothing going wrong. Everything is gonna be okay. Dad, we see you. We see you, Dad. We see you. And I hadn't seen myself for forever, And that day we just decided that if I couldn't live for myself, I was gonna try and live for them. And, it gets better. And so that day, that became the first day of the rest of our lives, and we just committed to trying to get well. So we just started walking in the mountains, started with my pack. We started adding dogs, adding foster dogs, and I couldn't get very far at first, but started to be able to walk, then hike, then jog, and one dog became 3, became 5, became 15. Walking in the mountains, I started the large dog foster program for the Humane Society and for Canine Canyon Ranch. And by the time I had 6 months of sobriety, I no longer needed a liver transplant, and Marley's Mutts was born.
That's beautiful.
Now, hold on a second. Now, this is a side point. Can you move that video back slightly? Just move it back slightly with everyone wearing a mask. That says a lot about our society, doesn't it? Does that not look peculiar to each and every one of you? They obviously handed out exactly the same mask. So everybody's sitting in the audience there. They're all wearing masks, and they're all wearing exactly the same mask. That looks freaky to me. Very, very freaky to me. Just thought I'd point that out. Go ahead.
That's beautiful. So, yeah, and a lot of shelters won't take large dogs because they can't keep them in there. So
it's incredibly difficult.
So then you start positive change.
Positive change, baby.
Change. And this is the best idea. Explain what you're doing with dogs in prisons. Why didn't anyone else think of this?
Thank you, Ellen. I agree. Positive change should be ubiquitous, and it should be in every prison in the United States. In the United States of America, we incarcerate 2.5 million people. That directly affects 10 million children. In the United
Okay, hold on a second. You got me right up to that point. We incarcerate 2.5 million people. There's 2.5 million people. I assume the vast majority of them deserve to be where they are. We see what happens when we have phony bail reform and these violent people in particular get out of prison. And if we have violent people or people in prison who have violated the law and they had children, that's not society's fault. So we incarcerate 2.5 million people. No, these individuals did certain things that resulted in their incarceration. Okay? Go ahead.
Also, surrender millions of dogs to shelters all over the country, resulting in more than 1 million euthanasias. It was our idea to create positive change, to provide hope and opportunity for incarcerated people and pets. They've been completely disenfranchised, both communities, for so long, and we have a real opportunity to provide hope and opportunity for them. So Positive Change is a 14-week-long live-in rescue dog program where we go to local animal shelters, high-risk animal shelters. We pull dogs from those shelters and we send them to 5 maximum security prisons and 1 girls' juvenile facility to live for 14 weeks in prison with their student inmates. We go in every week and we're training the Canine Good Citizen certification, where the dogs become therapy dogs by the time they graduate, and all of our student inmates have a vocational certificate
By the way,
when they
I like
graduate.
this. This I like. Go ahead.
So they have something to do when they get out.
100%. So to date, we have graduated 650 students, 250 dogs, and 50 of our students have been released onto the streets. 0 of them have gone back to prison. That's 0% recidivism. The national average is 70%. Thank you.
I like this. And I also think there's another benefit. The dogs, oddly enough, humanize people. They humanize people. You have some real vicious, tough people in these prisons. The way they look at fellow human beings is really quite sick. And yet dogs or other pets seem to have a different impact. So that is all for the better as far as I'm concerned. So good for him.
For all this and much more, sign up for LEVIN TV.